Howdy friendos, TheKrazyJason here, and welcome to my weekly roundup. Now this week I'm going to be talking about the original Halloween and the two Rob Zombie versions of Halloween, all on Blu-ray. I had some other movies to talk about, mainly horror films, Pulp Fiction. But you know what? I thought that was just a little too much in the stew. And there's a lot of things I have to say about the Halloween movies. So I just decided, you know what? It's starting to get closer. It's the middle of the month. It's time to really dig into horror movies now. So I'm going to focus on that. But before we get to that, I'm going to answer a couple of questions from the Q&A list. And this week I'm going to answer a couple of questions from a viewer, and his name is Zombie Z Fiction. He keeps telling me every week that if I don't answer the Q&A questions, something bad is going to happen to me. And seeing as we're getting closer and closer to the hallowed day, you know, the Halloween, I'm getting a little nervous. You know, I feel like I probably need to answer his questions. So this is for you, dude. Alright? Alright, first of all, he has several questions, but I'm going to answer these two. What is my favorite PS3 game? I've answered this before, but I don't mind answering it again because my favorite PS3 game is Fallout. And it's follow-up, Fallout New Vegas. Can't wait for Fallout 4, and yes, I still need to make some sort of video talking about my love for the Fallout series, or maybe a review of the games. Not really sure what format to do that in or how to approach it, but absolutely love Fallout. It's just the most immersive game I've ever played, as far as a console game is concerned. The other question that I'm going to answer is, he asks, you love Malick. Terrence Malick. Have you seen Tree of Life? Did you love it? It comes out on my birthday, so I'm so freaking excited, dude. To answer your question, yes, I loved it, and that dovetails into something I was going to show you folks, and that is that I did pick this up this week, opening day, and I watched it that night. But, you know, this deserves its own review. I mean, this right here, I mean, the amount of time I'm going to spend talking about this. So, review of this coming soon, for sure. And I have a rant, though. I have a little rant about this cover. Yeah, but I'll save that for the review. Okay, man, so answer some questions, and now let's move on to Halloween. Now, here's what we're going to do. I am going to attempt to go, you know, Carpenter Halloween, first remake, and second remake. But the thing is that they're all going to kind of get mixed up. We're going to go back and forth between the films, talking about different things. And it's going to be good. I've been wanting to just talk about these movies for a very long time, so I've been looking forward to this. Let's start off with the original. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole story and blah, 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 blah about the original because everybody knows. You know, everybody's talked about Halloween the original. I'm not going to do a full-blown review. This is going to be more my thoughts about Zombies remakes and maybe how they, you know, interconnect or differ from the original. But first of all, let's talk about this Blu-ray. I'd heard some, you know, some people complaining about the picture quality, and I watched it, and I know what you're talking about now. Yes, when Dean Cundey or Cundey, I can't, you know, whatever his last name is, the director of photography, great DP by the way, and John Carpenter decided to do with the original film. Is, of course, they shot it in Southern California in the summertime, so, you know, they put down leaves and they did what they could to make it look like it was October. But one of the things they did is they color timed it to look sort of orangish. And that's what we're used to seeing, you know, VHS and early DVD editions. But when they made the transfer for this Blu-ray, and I believe a transfer for the DVD that came out just prior to this one, I'm not sure what it's called, but whatever. Dean Kundi or Kundi or whatever. I just hate it when I don't know the correct pronunciation of a guy's last name. In Carpenter, they weren't involved, or they didn't give their okay, or they didn't oversee the transfer. And the transfer was really just, to my eyes, just color timed for natural daylight. Now, that orangish look always gave me, you know, for Halloween, was the ultimate, you know, that movie is really the ultimate as far as like the feeling of Halloween, you know. They put a lot of work into that to evoke that feeling. And that feeling has sort of been stripped away now. Now, it would be one thing if they just, you know, took the orange tint out. But unfortunately, with the resolution and clarity of Blu-ray, we can now see all the way back to the lush green tree lines. And yeah, we can really see the beautiful Southern California in the summertime. Yeah, it's just sort of distracting because I'm trying to focus on the movie, and I keep noticing the fact that it's full-blown summer, folks. It's lush green, you know. In that way, there is a compliment to the Blu-ray as well, because it's a sharp looking Blu-ray, and it's fantastic, and the blacks hold, and everything else about it is great. But yeah, but you know what? This won't be the last release. This is one of those movies like Terminator 2. They'll just keep releasing it. In fact, the 35th anniversary is not that far off. I think a couple of years now. Plus, you know, whenever the new movie comes out. So I'm sure there'll be another edition of this, some sort of ultimate edition. But yeah, the original Halloween. Now, this movie is pretty much the template for our modern slasher film. You know what I need to do? I need to set a stopwatch. Because if I don't, then it's possible I could be talking for 35-40 minutes, and I have no idea. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick. But yeah, it's the original is the template. It set off, you know, all of the I don't know, not copycats, but it set off the trend of slasher films in the 80s. And just a heavily influential movie. So let's move on to the remakes. Oh man, so I have so much to say about these movies. They tapped Rob Zombie to direct the remake, and I always got the impression that he never really wanted to remake Halloween. What he wanted to remake was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's the feeling I get. You know, he likes the down and dirty, gritty 70s horror. Halloween really wasn't like that. Yes, it was 70s and it was horror, slasher, but, you know, I'm talking about movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or movies like Last House on the Left, or The Hills Have Eyes. You know, horror films like that from the 70s. They're real dirty with grungy people, you know. And Zombie has his own sort of sensibilities. He's really into family. And we'll get into that when we talk about his sequel. But if you watch all of his films, you notice he likes crazy families. You know, the family that kills together stays together, I guess. And this movie right here, this Halloween remake, is a real mixed bag. You can tell how confused he was, how he was trying to please everyone, including himself. Because of one thing that I really respect about Rob Zombie is I disagree with a lot of his fucking choices, and I don't exactly love all of his movies, but he is an artist. And he stays true to himself, and he expresses himself, and he doesn't hold back. And, you know, I really appreciate that, because I get tired of these so-called, you know, artistic, independent filmmakers who make subtle films, you know. Fuck subtle. You know that? You know what I'm saying? Rob Zombie doesn't do subtle. And sometimes I may cringe at the silliness of his characters, but you know what? They're interesting. They are. Otherwise, I wouldn't watch his stuff. But yeah, the original remake, it's a mixed bag. I mean, because you know, the first half is Zombie. It's Rob Zombie. It's got his touch all over it. But when we get to the second half of the film, the whole end part, when Michael Myers goes back to Haddonfield, it really starts looking like Carpenter's original, and he almost does a beat-by-beat remake in a lot of ways. Not a beat-by-beat, but I don't know. It's like he was trying to, you know, pander to what the fans of the original wanted, maybe what the studio executives were expecting. They used the original music throughout, which is fine. But it's an interesting, enjoyable film. You know, now, one of the big controversies initially about this movie was his visitation of Michael Myers as a child, his examination of his childhood, to sort of get at what made Michael Myers tick, what made him into a killer. And, you know, a lot of people, a lot of fans of the original didn't like that because, you know, Michael Myers was always, in the original film, he was known as the Shape in the original script. He's just a faceless killer, pure evil. You know, Dr. Loomis in the original film, you know, he just talks about looking into those dead eyes, evil eyes, you know, and that's basically what we get, you know, and there's a supernatural element, you know, especially throughout the sequels where, you know, he can't be killed. And so Zombie decided to delve into Michael Myers' past. Now, how he decided to do it, I don't really like, but I don't at all mind the fact that he decided to do that, because I always wanted to know about Michael Myers as a child. I always wanted to know what happened to him. I wanted to see him in the hospital, in the psychiatric ward. I always wanted to see those scenes. And in fact, Carpenter went back and shot extended footage for the television cut. And we do get to see, even in the Carpenter original, some of the scenes. You know, like we have that shot of Michael Myers just staring out the window. And this is actually the version that I'm going to be watching Halloween night, because every Halloween I watch the original Halloween. That's the tradition. And since I've already watched the Blu-ray this year, I'm going to watch the extended cut. But yeah, you know, Carpenter didn't really give us, you know, a lot of intel or information on what made Michael Myers tick as a child. But Zombie really wanted to go into that. But you know what? I have a lot of problems. Again, I'm gonna make a broad statement about both of these movies, both of these zombie-fied Halloween movies. They are movies that I thoroughly enjoy watching, and yet I have so many problems with the movies. I have so many little nitpicky things that I don't like. It's a strange thing with me. Sometimes I'll like movies, I love to watch them, but there's a lot of things about them that I don't like, and it's I don't understand it. I honestly don't understand it, because, you know, these were the movies that I wanted to watch first when October came around. So I don't know, maybe you guys can shed some light on what it is. For those of you who don't hate the zombified versions, maybe you can shed some light on some of the reasons why you like them, and then maybe I can understand why I like them, because I'm talking a lot about the negatives. And speaking of which, I'm gonna, because I have a few notes here, folks, just a few notes to keep me on track. Let's talk about some more negative. The the whole white trash sort of family background on Michael Myers. Okay, fine. And that sort of makes sense if, you know, Laurie Strode was adopted by a sort of middle class, you know, white bread family. I can buy into that. But it's so fake. It's the opening scene with the dads, you know, yelling at the mom, and they're cussing at each other, and the whole sexual innuendo with the sister. It was disgusting in a way that it was just over the top. The acting was over the top. It was completely unbelievable. And don't get me wrong, it's not like the situation was unbelievable. The acting and the dialogue was unbelievable, because I know characters, I know people like that really exist in real life. I've seen them, I've heard them, I know that. But it was just bad acting, in my opinion. Bad directing. I'm sorry, but it was. Once we move past that, by the way, this is not a spoiler-free review, so if you don't want these movies spoiled, if for some reason you haven't seen them, then you might not want to continue watching, because I will be getting into spoiler territory here. After Michael Myers kills for the first time as a child and goes to the sanatorium, the insane asylum, then the movie gets interesting. Then you bring in Dr. Loomis, and I liked the casting of Malcolm McDowell as Dr. Loomis. I thought it was a stroke of genius. Well, maybe not a stroke of genius, but good casting. Then we got into some scenes I found interesting, you know. But I know that Rob Zombie is, you know, what he was trying to do was hold true to himself and what he wanted to make, and then he was trying to please the fans. So, you know, the first film is a bit of a mishmash, in my opinion. And Scout Taylor Compton, the girl who played Laurie Strode, in the first movie, she was horrible. I'm sorry, she was terrible. It was like Rob Zombie sat her down and showed her Texas Chainsaw Massacre and perhaps the remakes and said, act like that, because that's how she acted. And the stupid glasses they stuck on her face didn't help either. Why with the glasses? I didn't believe that at all. Sure, Laurie Strode wore glasses in the original, but you know, it just didn't look right. It was a bad decision on Rob Zombie's part. But let's move on to the sequel, because the sequel is the movie that I really enjoy. Now, first, let me say that Compton's acting in the sequel is, you know, it just heads and tails. It's totally different. She comes across as real. You know, there's I can see real rage there. I can see real emotion in her face. It's like she, I don't know, and also Zombie's directing is different. It's with this movie, he dispensed with, I think, trying to please the Halloween crowd, and he just made the movie that he wanted to make. In fact, the Halloween theme does not play throughout the movie. I believe it only plays over the end credits, which was fine with me. This is more of a down and dirty Halloween movie. And honestly, I think this is what he should have done with the first one, with the original. But he did it with this one, and you know, there's a lot of controversy. One of the biggest things about the sequel that I think people hate is what he did to the Dr. Loomis character. But I have an idea for that. It didn't bother me because I instantly had this idea about the Loomis character. Dr. Loomis in the sequel, he's a best-selling author now. He's totally sold out. He's all about business and, you know, wearing nice suits, and, you know, he's just like a money-grubbing asshole. He's turned, you know, and I know some people online have, you know, actually used the word gutted. That Zombie gutted the Dr. Loomis character. And I can understand that. I can see that. But then he has his redemption. The whole point of it was so that he could have his redemption at the end of the film. Again, spoilers. But I can understand why he became that way. You know why? He spent his life trying to help Michael Myers. I mean, he spent, what, 15 years every fucking week trying to get through to this kid. And then Michael Myers tries to fucking kill him, and he kills all these other people. I can see how he, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to use the name and make some money. You know? But then he realized, you know, at the end, of course, there's that redemption, and that's not really who he is on the inside. It's just the man he became after the events of the first film. That's how I interpret the Dr. Loomis character in the second film. Some of you may disagree with that, but that's how I see it. So it didn't really bother me what he had become in that movie. The acting across the board is great. This is one gory fucking movie here, folks. I want to be honest with you. I really can't straight on watch those opening scenes when they take him into the hospital and they're sewing up the slash wounds. In fact, OJ and myself, we talked about this movie before. I think one of our earliest Blu-ray bullshits, before we even called it a Blu-ray bullshit, was a review of Halloween 2. And because I know he's worked on the ER, and he said that what he saw in the film, you know, pretty much matched up to stuff he saw in the emergency room. Very realistic gore. I mean, he really shoves it in your face, and boy, it's pretty intense stuff. I'll tell you another great thing about this movie, as far as Rob Zombie is concerned. Until this movie, I didn't really know if he could make a real movie. A real movie in the sense that there's a story, and he understands story structure. I didn't really get that before from him. But in this movie, you have a good structure, you have a good beginning, middle, and end that you're able to watch and get into, and the tension builds. And so I really think, in my opinion, this is his best movie, and the reason why, I know a lot of you will disagree with that, and I know The Devil's Rejects, you know, and I like The Devil's Rejects. In fact, I need to get that on Blu-ray and revisit it. It's been a number of years since I've seen it, so, you know, my opinion could change. But the reason why I'm saying this, maybe this isn't his best film, it's his most accomplished film, because he took his artistic nature and he combined it with good storytelling. And that's why. Then again, there are things that annoy me and get on my nerves again, like the goddamn horse, the white horse, and his wife Sherry Moon Zombie as the mother, you know, and the dress and the horse. Then again, it's interesting visuals, you know. I mean, as silly as it was to me, at least he's doing something interesting and different that no one else is doing, because it's a personal artistic vision. So, you know, there are things I may find annoying and silly about it, but I have to respect that aspect of it. Now, respect does not equal entertainment always. So, you know, there's still that question as to why I really enjoy watching these. I enjoy the hell out of watching these movies. And I really don't know why. You know, he decided to make Michael Myers in this movie this sort of wandering hobo mountain man with this big fucking grizzly beard, you know, walking the backwards. But, you know, he made him really feral, you know, very, what should I say, the character of Michael Myers is just an animal, a vicious fucking animal. And I always enjoyed the casting of Tyler Mane as Michael Myers, just a big, huge, you know, killing machine. But yeah, I I have a lot of problems with both the original remake and the follow-up, but at the same time I enjoy them. I am running out of time here, folks. I have babbled on for way too long. I could just keep going, but I could seriously sit here for another hour and talk about these movies, but I gotta stop. I gotta stop. Can't do that. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Leave comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the films, and I will see you next time. My weekly roundup, baby.